Hi, I'm David Lipsey. I'm the Global Chair of the Henry Stewart Conferences on the Art and Practice of Managing Digital Media. I'm here today with Jamie Martin, the Corporate Archivist for IBM. Jamie, thanks so much for joining me today to talk about your role in bringing the corporate archive to life to create the very engaging brand narrative that you do at IBM, as well as to document its history and the current meanings that that has.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Jamie, you joined IBM a couple of years ago. Where were you before that?
I joined IBM in July of 2014, and before that I was a senior archivist for Target Corporation, which is based in Minneapolis.
So quite a change moving here to New York, I would guess?
Definitely.
Yeah. And where are your offices? Where are the archives offices here with IBM?
The archives are located in two different locations. My main office is based in Somers, New York, which is in Westchester County, just a little bit north of New York City. And then we also have an off-site location that stores many of our artifacts.
And speaking of artifacts, I can imagine they must be many and varied in nature and in type. What are some of the kinds of artifacts that you manage as the corporate archivist?
Our collection is extremely diverse, and not being a native New Yorker, I was surprised to learn of the extent of the different products that we've had over the past 100 years. You know, looking back at things like punch card machines and tabulating machines, clocks, time recorders, coffee grinders, cheese slicers, that of course evolved, over the years to more mechanical calculators, electronic computers, mainframes, and now of course what we're doing today. So our artifact collection is vast. It takes up a lot of space, but always very interesting.
And I can only imagine the metadata and taxonomy challenges that must be part of your everyday life. Could you share some of the thoughts and some of the lessons learned, some of the leadership that you provide in making sure that those many and varied artifacts can be discovered and repurposed?
Yes, one of the challenges we face is that we do have such a diverse collection, because not only with the physical artifacts, but also business records, photographs, a large audiovisual material collection, and of course born digital records. So as we're looking at creating our taxonomy, I look at a couple of different things. I want to make sure, of course, that we're meeting general archive standards, looking at what the rest of my profession is doing, and meeting those standards as we use them to describe our collection. But also looking at what's happening within my company, and keeping in mind that I'm using the same language and taxonomy as the rest of IBM is using. Especially as we're bringing in born digital materials, I want to make sure that I'm describing things in the same way that others are describing, to the extent that I can.
And speaking of those descriptions, who are your customers as the corporate archivist in this era of using these archival assets to express a very contemporary brand narrative?
We also have a very diverse group of customers. We receive both internal and external requests. Most of our requests are internal. They can range across the company from many different areas. Primarily, we do quite a lot of work with communications and with marketing to help support those stories, whether it be providing context behind a global office or fact-checking for speeches, looking back at some of our past brand legacy and how that has evolved over the years, working with marketing, providing old assets to help with a campaign if they think that heritage would be a good part of it. So it's very varied. It's extremely varied. I never know what my day is going to bring.
And what a challenge that is, as well as an interesting opportunity. Looking ahead to the near or midterm horizon, how do you see changing role in the archive at IBM?
I think one of the biggest changes is how involved an archivist needs to be with the materials that are coming in. There is sort of this myth about the archivist being the passive collector and waiting for the box of treasures to arrive at our door, and that really isn't valid anymore. It's something that I need to be actively involved with the record creator before those assets ever come to the archives, especially as we're dealing with born digital materials, whether it be looking at how are these records arranged, how are they organized, what's the language that's being used and description.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the most iconic photograph, the best document in the world, is not going to have long-term value if you don't know who's in the photo and you don't know why the document was created. So it becomes essential that I work with the record creator before the material even comes to the archives.
Well, Jamie, as you continue to steward that collection, both the treasure boxes and the born digital and the other discoveries that you make, I know we as the digital asset community appreciate your guidance on being a professional in this field and the use of digital asset management to further the uses of this rich and very lovely archive that you steward. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you.